Eury Perez has had a monster start and finally looking like he's up to form. Cam Shitler just has an awesome name, and we're going to talk about 10 names today that you must add in Week 15. Coming up on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source for fantasy baseball, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Anna, here with my co-host, Dom Martino, who does not have awesome hair like I do. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're getting that audio source, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave us a 5-star rating, and an awesome review to really help out the show. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. But all right, we got an awesome episode for you today. Like I mentioned at the top, we got Yuri Perez looking like he's finally starting to click there, and we got the Shitler, the Riddler, on the docket today. Dom, where do you want to go? You're going to start it off since I cracked this bad boy open today.
Well, you know what? I'm going to leave your boy Eury Perez for you because anyone who's a fan knows Eury Perez is one of your guys. And I'm actually going to go off the list. I'm going to go with Joe Boyle. Tampa Bay Rays starting pitcher. I've been excited for him to, finally come back up. He had to start early back in April, and it was very impressive against the Braves. 5 innings, a win, 7 Ks, no earned runs, had an 0-4 whip in that one. And then he just made his, return back to Tampa Bay's rotation. On July 6th, he had 5 innings pitched, another 7 strikeouts, no earned runs, and a 0.6 whip. A very similar, start to that first one. Boyle's been super impressive down in the minors through 14 starts, has a 1.85 ERA, 73 innings pitched, 96 strikeouts, and a 0.98 whip. So the thing with Boyle is, he came over from Oakland, formerly Oakland Athletics, and now just the Athletics until they, get things situated over there. But now he's over in Tampa. And listen, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you, Tampa does wonders with pitching. They always take pitchers from other teams, specifically the Pirates. They love to take those Pirates starting pitchers, Tyler Glasnow, and guys like that, and just help them, figure things out. And, looks like they've done them here with Boyle. Has been successful, as I mentioned, and has really good stuff. Strong fastball, averages about 97, 98. Also has that slider. Sorry about that. Also really good pitch, gets a lot of movement on that one, and he also follows that up with a split finger. So a good 3-pitch mix there for him. Has kind of switched it up. Like I said, has been moving pitches around, things that have been working for him, and has gotten monstrous results so far. In the minors, has gotten really good results so far here in the bigs. And also, he's 25 years old, 6'8", 250. Just a mountain of a man. Wouldn't want to, come up to the plate and have that guy, pitching against me, especially with that big fastball. So Joe Boyle is somebody I'm definitely picking up. 19% owned on Yahoo, but of course, he is owned in all my leagues because I play with a lot of guys that know what they're doing. But definitely, Joe Boyle is a must-add. Let's see where the thing goes. But the whole thing, I will say this. He's been piggybacking, kind of like he did throw 5 innings. I don't know if he actually started that game. Forgive my ignorance there. But I think he did have Boyle piggyback Rasmussen. That's Kevin Cash, the manager, in the first one. And it looks like he said that he might do it a couple more times. But if he's still giving you 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, no earned runs, I'll take that. I'll take that anytime, out there. Tampa's always gets things interesting with their starting pitchers, but Joe Boyle's just too good to be left on waiver wires right now. And then once again, through his first 2 starts in the bigs this year, it's 10 innings, 14 strikeouts, no earned runs, a win, and an 0.5 whip.
Yeah, no, Dom, you make great points there. As of right now, Boyle isn't projected to start this week, but he's a name that if, he gets slotted in, whether there's an injury or, he decides to change his name, change his mind, then hey, we're going to go out there. We're going to go and, get them in our lineups. It's not like they're bad matchups this week, if I remember correctly. They're playing Detroit, which is an earlier week.
I think he's going to piggyback Rasmussen against that Angels team if they keep doing what they're doing. Well,
It's
who
going to
knows
be
with the Reds? We never know.
it's going to against the Boston Red Sox actually on Thursday.
Oh,
Raiders
okay.
harassment.
All right,
Def-
gotcha.
Definitely don't hate that either. In all honesty, Boston has looked not as great since losing, Devers and such, and it's actually not going to be a bad start. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Eury Perez of the Miami Marlins. 40% owned right now. This last start, honestly, pretty excited. Kind of like a step in the right direction. You know, Finished the game with 7 strikeouts through 6 innings, got the quality start, no earned runs, a .33 whip, especially after following after having 2 horrendous starts against Arizona, Atlanta. Even in what I would say a decent start against Washington, he went through 4 innings, no strikeouts, but a 2.25 ERA. It just hasn't been happy endings when it comes to Yuri Perez since him returning from Tommy John. But I will say this, the underlying stats is really where it has me enticed and why I'm adding him literally everywhere, why I've stashed him all year. The fastball is getting incredible amount of movement. It's hitting 98 miles an hour on a regular. And he's having super success with all his pitches, in all honesty. Fastball has a 150 batting average. Slider has a 227 batting average. A curveball has a 188 batting average. And the changeup, I mean, even though it was thrown 5%, it hasn't been hit yet. So he's just doing the right thing, and maybe we could start getting, you know, more strikeouts and things like that, which I think is coming. He's creating a lot of whiffs with his slider and fastball. Literally, his slider is 36% of the 34% of the time he's literally getting creating a whiff, which is absolutely bonkers. And the 4-seam fastball, 26%, looking great in that. I think it's just you know, leaving some things left desired out on the plate, whether it's, meatballing a little bit or just, not finding the right placement, which control usually comes back last. But the velocity is a true indicator that Yuri Perez is on the bounce back here. And I think this is the perfect time to buy in now. So him being at 40%, I don't think it's going to be like that after one more start, especially with the prospect pedigree and the performance he did in his rookie year. So Yuri Perez is an absolute pause the podcast ad moment right now.
Yeah, Matt, fully with you on that. Just take advantage because I'm sure Yuri was dropped in a few leagues with people that weren't patient. With a kid like this, he's still young, rehabbing an injury, and he did get some reps in the minors. The reps in the bigs are different. It's not the same as going out there against a AA, AAA lineup. Even the lesser teams in the bigs will still dominate some of the best teams in the minors. So there is that big difference. He's looking like he's figured it out. The thing that's most impressive to me is that the whip has gotten better, literally progressively every single time out. It has gotten better through his first, 5 starts here. He's going to be pitching as you guys are listening to this. Hopefully you caught the episode early and you could do like Matt said, pause the podcast moment, go out there, snag him. I would even do it. It's going to be at Cincinnati, which is tough. Even if he gets hit around again, I'm still, keeping Eury Perez around because a lot of upside with this young pitcher for the Miami Marlins, and it's a great park to pitch in. He might not win a lot of games, but I still think the strikeouts, the ERA, and the whip should still be worth it for going out there and adding Eury Perez. Before we jump in and we talk about another prospect call-up, I mean, it's, like a clockwork at this point, and then we'll get into some bats like names like Jason Dominguez, Chandler Simpson that you need to add to your team coming up next.
Okay. Summer sports are in full swing. Whether you're all about baseball, under the lights, golf on the green, or high stakes soccer action, FanDuel has the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the action while your friends are getting sunburn at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track all my favorite matchups. The app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use fast payouts and make even regular seasons feel like a must-watch event. Whether it's placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth, FanDuel makes it feel like a part of the action. New to FanDuel, a new customer can bet $5 and win $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. And all right. Look, you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast. You're going to want to check us out over on the Insider Track. Look, we only got 30 minutes each and every day, and that's fun if you're good with that. If you're not, you want a little bit more, you want to know who to prioritize off this episode. We put out the rankings for this. You want to know, okay, what key stats I should be highlighting on from each episode. When am I going to get the next prospect call up? Things like that. How am I going to do that? How am I going to beat my leagues to the waiver wires? And if you have some burning questions that you're not sure what to do with your lineup or trades or things like that, you can Domini a question. We'll get her back to you in about 24 hours. So links in the description below, and we're giving a little added bonus. You get free 2 weeks along with it. So check us out on there. But I'm done talking. I can't do it anymore. As much as I love hearing the sound of my voice. Dom, you're up, bro.
Yes. Let's jump in. Let's get a New York Yankee here, and let's talk about Cam Shitler. I believe that's a pronunciation. We'll get that confirmed ASAP, but he is just getting called up. And listen, he's a big boy. He's a 6'6", 225 righty. And he's been really, really good down in the minors so far this year for the Yankees. Across 2 leagues, he has a 2.82 ERA. Once again, that's 14 starts, 76 innings pitched, 99 strikeouts, and a 1.21 WHIP. Now, listen, Big Cam hasn't really been known for his control, but he can definitely go out there and strike guys out. And listen, the Yankees just need, anything, especially after losing Clark Schmidt to Tommy John. I mean, and Schmidt was just really catching a stride there too. So that's a big loss for, us Yankee fans and anyone who had him here in fantasy. But, Cam Shitler's nice little pickup, 8% owned on Yahoo. I think he's going to come out here. It's his start. It's a bit ambiguous at the moment because they haven't officially called Big Cam up yet. It looks like one of these starts here against Seattle, 8th, 9th, or 10th. I once again can't give you an exact date because I don't.
It's looking like it's on the 9th. That's what I have it projected on RotoWire.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that, brother. So it's looking like the 9th. So you guys have a little bit of time here. But listen, I pick him up anyway you need starting pitching. It's really tough. I know we got some guys coming back off the IL, but we've had a lot of big injuries at starting pitcher of late. So Cam Shitler, nice, exciting prospect here for the Yankees. Going to make his debut on July 9th against Seattle. I'm predicting maybe 3-4 runs, big strikeouts. Hopefully he can keep the runners off of the bases.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Shitler just because of the name. Other than that, I want to see what he does in the bigs at the end of the day before I get all excited. Speculative ad, being that he's on Wednesday. If your pitching got hit up yesterday and today, then you know what? The Shitler is somebody that you're going to want to ride with. So, it is what it is. And might I say, too, I look like I'm going Super Saiyan 55 right now with this green hair.
I love it. I love it. It's all. If you guys aren't watching on YouTube, you need to go check out the video on YouTube right now because you're missing Matt and the awesome Philly fanatic hair he's got going on right now.
Yeah, I swear to God, I'm going to blow up just on TikTok just for the hair. It's going to be fun. But anyway, I'm going to move on.
Come on, guys. We got to make this move on.
We're going to move on. We're talking about Ryan Nielsen, the Arizona Diamondbacks. So he's going up against the Angels, which I'm not mad at the start. Ward's been good in every category minus batting average. So he's a little bit on the dangerous side along with Trout. But that's really about it. Other than that, you get through those two, and I'm not really scared of the lineup. So I'm kind of good with rolling him out there at this point. Now, it's coming on Friday, which is nice. You have some time to decide whether you want to risk it to get the biscuit or not with him. And I might do it either way at this point. I think that, the way he's been why does this not want to work for me? The way he's been playing, I'm kind of okay with it. Here we go. Matt, you just can't spell. That is what you're doing wrong. So over the last 2 weeks, he's been pretty solid. 13 innings pitched, a win, 12 strikeouts, a 1.98 ERA, and a 0.66 WHIP. That's coming against Kansas City and San Francisco Giants, spelling 7 innings and 6.5 innings with 5 Ks and 7 Ks, sub 3 ERAs, and a one against Kansas City, sub 2. Got a quality start in both. That's looking nice. And even against the White Sox, which I mean, again, Dom and I could go out there and pitch against the White Sox. Great. Handled Toronto, handled San Diego. So, I mean, he's been pitching really good. So I have the confidence to say, hey, Nielsen has to go out there and just be started at this point. I don't think it's as risky as I made it sound earlier in the take, but it's just a matter of, you don't really have to decide today, but you can maybe add him. And if anything, you can play a little keep away and drop him on Thursday. So he can't be added for that if you don't feel like getting the start against you. So for me, Nielsen's an ad no matter what.
Yeah, Matt, he was the Corbin Burns replacement, after, Burns went down, the Diamondbacks took, Ryan Nelson out of the the pen, moved him to the rotation, and he's been really good. Matt, you read off the numbers of late on the season. It's 19 appearances total, 9 starts for Nielsen, a 3.39 ERA, 74 innings pitched, 64 strikeouts, and a 0.98 whip. The big thing for me with Nielsen is he took a big step forward in the control this year, not giving up as much hits, not giving up as many walks. Keeping the guys off the bases is always going to keep that ERA a little bit lower. And he also switched up the repertoire. He moved that slider up, worked on it. That's his second most used pitch. He does lead with that fastball, which mixed results with that. But the slider has been a good, reliable secondary pitch, getting hit, at a 207 batting average against. Really took a step back, not throwing that changeup, which really got rocked last year for Nielsen. Once again, Ryan Nelson is who we're talking about here. I like him. Arizona Diamondbacks starting pitcher. That Angels matchup is nice. And then coming out of the All-Star break, it looks like he might get the Cardinals. A little bit tougher matchup than the Angels, but still not a crazy hard matchup. So I pick up Nelson. He is 44% owned on Yahoo. Let's get into the bats. Let's switch over. Let's talk some bats now. And listen, I was surprised. Listen, this guy's a little bit close to the threshold that we want to talk about, but he's still right there, a little lower owned than he should be. Jason Dominguez of the New York Yankees, another Yankees player on today's episode. 56% owned on Yahoo. Listen, we try to stay around 50, 60% for the most part. But for a guy like Dominguez, it should be a lot higher. 267 batting average on the year through the 75 games played, 39 runs, 8 homers, 33 RBIs, and 14 steals. He's already almost double-digit homers and steals. He had that 2-homer game on the 4th of July with a steal as well and 3 RBIs. Went 4 for 5 the day before that with a run and a steal. 2 for 5 the day before that with a run. Dominguez is really catching his stride here. They've been kind of moving him around in the lineup. He even hit leadoff, one day. I think the Yankees are going to let him play a lot more with him heating up like this. He hasn't been playing every single day, but like I said, when a young prospect like this is finally catching their stride in the bigs, he's shown the glimpses here and there. You just want to miss out on it. You don't want to be left on the other side of this. If Jason Dominguez is left in your league, man, he could finish the year 2020 with a 270 batting average and good runs and RBIs in this Yankees lineup if they really just let him play is what I want them to do as a Yankee fan, and what we should all want him to do as fantasy baseball players. So Jason Dominguez is a must-add for me. Not really much else to add about the Martian except he looks like he's finally taken off.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that this is what lasts. I mean, I hope this isn't just like a hot streak kind of type deal going on. I also hate the way Boone manages young players, and that's another, story. What?
It's the absolute worst.
Oh yeah. Like, it's really frustrating, and the way they've handled Dominguez going in the playoffs, and then this, I feel like they did him a complete disservice. It's not like we won anyway, so and I feel like you could have got the young kid going earlier. So there's a lot of developmental issues that I think are going on with Jason Dominguez and the Yankees themselves. But if he does catch fire, you can look back to that 2023 season before Tommy John, where he came out like lightning out of a bottle, and that's kind of the upside in the ceiling, I think, that exists for Jason Dominguez. So I'm adding him speculatively, but I'm only doing it in, either like 12 team and up or maybe in a 10, but I would have to be in a position where I'm like locked and loaded in a playoff spot. I'm not fighting for one because you might not be starting him a week in and week out until he really just catches his stride. But anyway, let's move on. Coming up next, we got Chandler Simpson, Mr. Steely Girl himself. Mickey Moniac for a little spark start. And then we got a catcher that you're going to want to add for the next couple of days coming up next.
All right. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about that last time you had a service emergency like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? Nope, you called the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important, and that's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Did you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? Open Phone solved that instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more who's handling this, and the AI agent handles all after-hour calls answers common questions, and captures leads so I never miss a customer again. Open Phone is offering Locked On Show listeners, Locked On Fantasy Baseball Show listeners, 20% off your first 6 months at open.com/locked on. That's PHONE.com/locked on MLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. And all right, guys, let's keep things moving here. Let's talk about this next guy. Let's talk about some Chandler Simpson. He is back up. He's been up for a little bit now, and, he's still doing his Chandler Simpson thing. Don't understand why he's only 34% owned. Listen, guys, I know he's not going to, hit many home runs or have many RBIs, but if you play in a categories league, a 302 batting average, 23 runs, and 24 steals through 47 games is really, really good. So he's carrying you in 3 out of the 5 major categories. Well, not carrying you, but he's contributing, heavily in steals and batting average, and he's giving you a good amount of runs. So I like Chandler Simpson. He's arguably the fastest guy in the bigs. I think he's at least top 2 or 3, if I remember correctly, the last time I checked. So he's definitely going to steal you a bunch of bags. And since he's been back up, he's already stolen 5 bases in about, 12, 13 games. So no reason not to go out and add this kid unless you don't need speed or a batting average. And he's going to contribute plenty in those, because even with the underlying stuff, it doesn't look good for, power stuff. But you know what? He doesn't strike out a lot. He doesn't whiff a lot. He's going to help you in points leagues too. The underlying stuff for batting average looks great. And like I told you, he was top 5 fastest guy in the game. I just don't understand why Chandler Simpson isn't at least like 70% owned. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me at the moment.
I mean, he's pretty much like the born again, D Gordon, where you're going to get boatload of
literally the perfect comp.
Yeah, boatload of stolen bases. You're going to get a great batting average production and great run value, and that's kind of the key part, right? Like you're not really counting for him for that. Like he's better yet, he's doing everything you wanted Nico Horner to do this year: get a lot of runs, hit for batting average, and get stolen bases. So that's what Chandler Simpson's game is, and you know what? I'm going to get an edge at the category no matter what by having Chandler Simpson on my team. So he's a must add right there. And then, but let's move on. Let's talk about Mickey Moniac of the Colorado Rockies. So Moniac is on another heater. Him being, literally 9% owned makes him widely available, especially for those deeper leagues where I think this play is more relevant than anything else. He is on a heater and you might want to ride the wave. 3 runs, 2 bombs, 5 ribs, 2 stolen bases, batting .533. Now, yes, he's not at home this week where I feel he's been more successful, but he is hitting towards the end of the week at Great American Hitter Park against the Reds. So that's kind of like almost as good as hitting in Coors Field. So for me, I'm going to add Moniac just based off of just trying to, try to catch some of that fire and, insert it on my team for a couple days and then kind of move on whenever it is. I don't think there's going to be any long-term, value for Moniac. He's just going to be a guy we stream on and off our team for the rest of the year.
Yeah, Matt, good take on Moniac. Former number 1 pick. Why don't the Rockies just let the kid play? Just let him play at this point. It's not like they got much else going on over there. You mentioned he's been really, really good of late, and those season numbers are starting to look a little even better too. 75 games played, 13 homers, the 5 steals. He's out there contributing. So he's, like you said, Matt, more of a deeper league kind of play. Did you mention ownership? I think he's 8% owned on Yahoo. So go out there and add him, Matt. Good call there on Mickey Moniac. Just like I said, former number 1 pick, great player. Rockies, go out there, let the kid, do his thing. So let's move on to, our next guy here. Let's talk about some Sean Murphy, right? Sean Murphy, catcher, Atlanta Braves. He's out there doing his thing again. And when he starts getting hot, you kind of know the here with Sean Murphy, right? He's going to hit you some home runs. He's going to have some RBIs. Batting average is never going to be fantastic. But you know what? 4 homers in his last, 6 games. So he's on that heater right now. If you need yourself a catcher, he's a prime candidate. That Braves team, starting to look a little bit better, especially for fantasy baseball purposes. Those boys are, hitting a little bit over there. They really need to pull it together, for the most part. But I like Sean Murphy. Like I said, you kind of know it's kind of like an old reliable situation where he's going to go out there and hit just some bomb skis, driving some runs, and do those types of things out there. Yeah, so I like me some Sean Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I mean, Sean Murphy was a guy we were trying to get in the beginning of the year. Draft him with our last pick because Dom and I really don't value catcher because of this reason. You can stream him all season long. And sometimes you even get lucky where people make mistakes and drop like a Salvador Perez that ended up biting you in the butt if you did that. Cough, cough to one of the leagues I'm in. But, Sean Murphy's a guy that, you don't really care. You move on the second he slows down, and it's not like the Braves are doing much anyway. So I don't really care to hold on to him and think there's that much of a long-term value. But yeah, that's all I really got on Sean Murphy, and I really don't have anything left today. So Dom, unless you got another guy.
I do. I did forget to put one guy in here. We did have one more guy we could sneak in here. Tyler Freeman of the Colorado Rockies. I will say this. I'm not super familiar with Freeman. That's why he was almost a forgotten man on today's episode. But you know what? I'm glad that I did not forget him. He's shortstop and outfield eligible on Yahoo. Through 48 games played this year, he's hitting .338 with 22 runs, a homer, 13 RBIs, and 12 steals. I'll say this. He's kind of like the Chandler Simpson light. If you missed out on Chandler Simpson and, Freeman's out there, or, even with the shortstop eligibility, it makes Freeman nice. He's 15% owned on Yahoo, and he's been leading off. He's been leading off there for the Rockies. Not that that's like, a claim to fame at the moment, but you know what? It's going to drive his runs up. It's going to let him steal bases. He's in the 73rd percentile sprint speed. The underlying stuff believes in him for batting average. He's hitting 330, right? The batting average stuff for batting average has 322. So his expecting batting average is right where his regular batting average is. He doesn't strike out a lot. He doesn't swing and miss a lot. Knows how to square the ball up. Listen, nice little sneaky ad if he can keep, hitting the way he is, which I don't expect. But you know what? Ride the wave.
Yeah. Great deeper league ad. Honestly, for shallow leagues, I'm not even looking his way. But great name there, Dom. So, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show because we truly love bringing it to you each and every day. And that's how I afford my beautiful, beautiful extensions here. So, please hang on to that. And we are done. Check us out over on the Insider Tracker. You're going to be able to get a whole bunch more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast. And when we're done with that, I got one last one, I promise. Check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. He puts on a great show for real live MLB coverage. That being said, guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
So.